What's just like a typical month look like?
I did $1.12 million in revenue. I honestly only been to Milwaukee like when I set up and maybe one other time for like my next deal.
And did you go to school for business or entrepreneurship?
No, so I actually I went to UC Davis. I actually studied computer science. Didn't know anything about business, never studied business.
Scaling up. You said you had 5 units. Now you have 184 units in 2 years.
I was basically just using 0% interest credit cards at the time. However, the thing about 0% interest credit cards is that
What does your day-to-day look like now versus when you first started?
but nowadays, I'll be honest, I don't even look on the app. I don't look at like Airbnb. I don't look at my PMS software. I don't know who checks in, who checks out. I'll be honest, I don't know like maintenance requests. Like I really don't know anything.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Lowdown. Most people think that you need to own real estate in order to make money. But today's guest, Kevin Leong, proves that is not the case at all. Kevin has built a 7-figure real estate business without owning a single home. Now he helps people earn $10K a month using a strategy people overlook called Airbnb arbitrage. In this episode, we're breaking down how he did it, how you can start, whether or not arbitrage is actually smarter than owning real estate. So Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude,
Appreciate
I'm
it.
super excited to get this Airbnb arbitrage masterclass for all the listeners. So let's get right into it. So for someone brand new, how would you explain what arbitrage is? Because for a long time, I honestly didn't know what it was. So how would you explain to someone totally fresh?
Yeah, so basically Airbnb arbitrage or rental arbitrage is basically you would go to a landlord, lease their property as like a normal tenant, or I guess like in this case, since we're a business, like under our business and we do it as corporate lease or corporate housing. And basically we get the approval of them to sublet their house, and then we basically put it on Airbnb, and we basically make a difference, which is that's why it's called arbitrage. So if say your rent is 2K and maybe your monthly revenue is like 4 or 5K, all the addition with like cleaning expenses, utilities, all that other stuff, operational expense, then you will kind of net the difference between that.
Mm-hmm. And this arbitrage thing, like you were saying, it's not only just Airbnb. I know a few people who are doing it in the residential assisted living situation. So some people who are doing the care homes. I know someone who's doing that with arbitrage, like here in Sunnyvale. They got like a year or two lease, and they had to go through all these extra things to make sure the house was in great like working condition and up to code for this residential assisted living. But now they're doing the same exact thing. So it's pretty cool that you could do it with Airbnb and other things as well. What does your portfolio currently look like?
Yeah. So some people do houses, some people do apartments, or maybe a mix of both. Currently, my model is apartments. So I have about 184 apartment units under my portfolio, all leased, none of them owned. They're just leased through usually individual landlords. But most of the time, I strike deals with these big multifamily buildings where these buildings are maybe like 200, 300, maybe 400 units, and that's why I come in and show them that I'm like a valuable like asset to them, where I can lease like 10, 15, 20, 30 units at once. That's instead of them dealing with maybe 30 different tenants, they deal with one professional operator or company like me to lease all these units, because they know that I'll pay their rent on time, and since I'm doing basically rental arbitrage, I will always be able to pay their monthly mortgage or rent on time.
And are these tenants, are they big like companies, or are they typically one-off people like me and you? Like what's the clientele typically?
So I asked him about clientele for people that stay, or talking about the people I work with?
People that stay.
Oh yeah. So clientele that stay at, I guess, for rental arbitrage, just anywhere. It just depends. It could be individual business travelers just come into town, like example, say example Phoenix. Some people, there's a lot of events, a lot of corporate traveling, so people just come into town for a weekend, a week, whatever that may be. Usually those are people that are booking with us. I mean, most of the time when you're working with corporations, sometimes that happens, but since my mall is mainly the short-term rental, so less than 28 nights, we mostly have people come in for like maybe weeks at a time, couple of days. But there are also times you work with corporations, insurance adjusters, stuff like that, or travel nurses that might stay for a couple of months at a time. So it kind of depends on your booking platform, how you market. So, but since we mainly put our units on Airbnb, most people are always staying for less nights. But that doesn't mean you won't be booked for months at a time.
Got it. Okay. And you said currently you have 180 plus units.
Yes.
And I think I saw on your Instagram that you were able to get to 180 plus units in the span of 2 to 3 years.
Yes, pretty much about 2 years.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
That's incredible, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you don't mind, what's just like a typical month look like, or year, whatever? Like, is it over six figures, seven figures?
Yeah. So the rental industry or like tourism travel is obviously by seasonality, as most people will know. So for high seasons, obviously you're making a lot more. Slow season, you're making a lot less because less travel, less demand, lower ADR, stuff like that. But my current portfolio as is right now, if I don't expand it, pretty much doing a couple six figures a month in revenue. I would say on my low seasons, it's probably about, if I had to guess, maybe like, I mean, about like 500,000, 500 to 550, give or take on revenue. But the past few months, when I was in my high season, in March 2025 was my highest month ever. I did $1.12 million in revenue. So you can see like there's a big difference from low season to high season in terms of revenue, ADR, stuff like that.
Damn, 500,000 to $1 million a month.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. And for like Airbnb and all these different platforms, I'm sure they take a huge fee or cut. So like typically, like what's the expense ratio that you're getting, or like what's the profit, I guess, that you're getting?
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, over obviously each month has highs and lows, but annually over the year, net profit was probably about 20 to 30%
Okay.
of that. That's generally what you're kind of looking for. Of course, you could probably increase those net margins over time if you like I said, you stop up, you just stabilize your portfolio and you work on like, where's your high expense? How can I trim the fat, cut the fat, and basically make my operation more smoother? Generally, that I would say one of the biggest thing is cleaning costs. So you hire your own in-house cleaning team. You could probably cut your costs down a lot, but it's like a kind of like another job. I would say you gotta retrain a new team, make sure less turnover than you have a standard. But versus like you use like a clean contractor, they already kind of know what to do, but your clean costs are a little bit higher. So kind of pros and cons, and but that's something that a lot of people do work towards when they have a big portfolio.
Hmm. Well, I'm super pumped to get into the nitty and gritty of the arbitrage. But
Mhm.
before that, I just want to step back a little bit and talk about what did you do before this Airbnb arbitrage? Were you working another corporate job? Were you doing another side hustle? What were you up to?
Yeah, so before Airbnb arbitrage, I was working at a like cannabis facility. I was just working as a project manager, operations, managing the warehouse, making sure everything like day to day is good. And then also when I went home, I was doing a little bit of like reselling, kind of like e-com, just random things I could do online to make an extra income, like reselling shoes, could be reselling iPhones, electronics, just stuff like that. And that's kind of how I started, but it wasn't really what I wanted, or like not what I wanted. It didn't really get me to where I wanted to be. And I kept researching other ways on how to make extra income or maybe pivot to a different like industry or different like business, and came upon Airbnb arbitrage from social media like Instagram, YouTube, things like that.
Okay. And did you go to school for business or entrepreneurship, or did you kind of just like learn the stuff all on your own?
No, so I actually I went to UC Davis. So went community college first, transferred to a 4 year college, took 3 years at the 4 year college. I actually studied computer science. Didn't know anything about business, never studied business. I mean, I was always interested because I mean, when I was young, I always watched Shark Tank, things like that. Like, man, it would be so good to start my own business, do this, do that. But yeah, and then graduated college, I realized like computer science was cool, but it wasn't like really something I wanted to do. I just never liked the thought of like either working for someone, someone telling me what to do or my hours. Can't if I wanted to travel, someone's gonna tell me no, I can't travel. Things like that. So that's why like man, I got it. I mean, obviously I did work like a cannabis industry or cannabis warehouse, but I was a little bit more freedom. But also like I did work a lot of hours.
Hmm. What was your typical, I guess, workday schedule for working in the cannabis place? And then you said you had your side hustle that you're probably moonlighting after that.
Yeah.
So you're working like a typical 40-hour week.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Depending on the like I said, some days could be like a little bit busier, depending on the more projects or like management of the warehouse or whatever it is. But so a general typical day would be like 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 during the weekdays, and then after I'll do my own thing and also do extra work to for my reselling, e-com, stuff like that. And then some occasionally on weekends, but I would say most weekends on Saturday I put on another shift, so it'll probably be about 50 to 60 hours per week, give or take.
Okay.
I mean, at times it will slow down. It'll be more of a 40-hour work week, but generally 50 to 60 hours.
Got it. And then when did this arbitrage come into light? Like, how did you learn about it? What made you want to pursue that? Because there's so many different ways you
Yeah.
can make money in real estate or business. So what specifically made you choose arbitrage?
Yeah. So I found about arbitrage about the end of near the end of 2022. I'm not sure you know how the algorithm works for social media. Started seeing one person, then I started following multiple people. Then when I researched more, it kept popping out on my YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. And I followed people for months just to kind of like understand how the business model works, what they were doing. And I guess I've always, had an interest in real estate. But the reason that really caught my eye, I was like, wow, you could basically rent someone else's property that you don't have to buy, put a huge down payment, and the to actually start the business, like furnishing the property, it's not even that much compared to like buying a real prop, like a buying your own property,
Hmm.
and you could cash flow way more than long term rental. So I just saw that as like it's like check all the boxes, like don't need too much money to start, which is the down payment and furnishing, and it really cash flows a lot compared to maybe most other businesses.
Hmm. So you're working, you found out Airbnb arbitrage from social media. How long did you study it for, learn it for before you actually took action on that very first one?
Yeah. So like I said, I learned about it around end of 2022. I didn't really do anything. I just like following people, making sure like either one they're legit. Social media is hard to tell like who's actually legit, who's actually running a real business,
Yep.
who's a fake influencer, whatever it is. And so a couple months was just following a lot of people, and then I believe after New Year was like New Year, new me. I want to take a leap, and then just wanted to like. And so I actually reached out to a lot of people that I was following to see like hey, do you offer mentorship? And some of them did. So I took on like a sales or strategy call just to kind of feel them out, so like who's like I said, more legit, who's real, and then price point out just. And then after getting a couple calls with some people, I kind of just based off what I was when I was following them for months, I was like, okay, this person maybe since I was following them to this call when I was asking about mentorship, they maybe grew X amount, how transparent they were in their business. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with like this person to teach me the way because I felt like I'd rather pay someone for learning from their experience to, so I don't have to make those mistakes. So I could just kind of fast track my progress.
Yep, totally. I mean, you're going to pay for it regardless, whether that be with your own money, paying for the mentorship, but cutting the time a few years, or with your own money with time and mistakes,
Yeah.
for sure. So walk me through this very first deal of yours. How did you find it? How much was the initial startup cost? What area did you look in? All that stuff.
Yeah. So my first deal was a 5 unit apartment deal in Milwaukee. So I actually probably took me about 2 months. I was outreaching multiple cities. Got a lot of rejections, a lot of no's. Comes with cold calling and just trying to get any business started or like your first deal, right? So 5 unit deal. I don't think I had any rent concession. So rent concession we'll talk about later. But I didn't really get any specials or any deals on this. I was like, it's my first deal. I just like, want to get my foot in the door. So now that once I get those 5 units, and then I'll have proof for maybe future deals and other landlords. So 5 units, two bedrooms, three one bedrooms. It I think on average for all five of them total with labor and everything was about 30 to 35,000 to set up. So adding furniture was maybe about 30,000, and the rest I spent on like labor, like people to set up the furniture for me, paint the walls, all that stuff. Just because I'm just only one person, I'm not able to set up 5 apartments in myself in like a week.
Hmm. So I want to take a step back. How did you even choose Milwaukee in the first place?
Yeah,
Because when I think of Airbnb, Milwaukee is not the first place I think of.
yeah, true. So I guess for how I started, I just searched up a couple of cities. And I just looked on Google Maps. I searched up a couple of cities in every state. Like I just chose the biggest name city in the state.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say Milwaukee is my first choice. I think I only knew about Milwaukee because I follow basketball, so I'm like Milwaukee Bucks. So like,
Nice.
oh, in my head, coming from a guy from California, I've never been to these type of states or cities before. I'm like, oh, if there's a basketball team there, there must be some type of demand or attraction or whatever.
Hmm.
And then that's how I chose it because like I said, I reached out a couple cities. Obviously, most of them were no's, but then that Milwaukee is kind of my first yes. And I was like, never been there, but it's fine. I'm like I know like maybe 50, 60% so of the information, but I'll just figure it out when I get there, like what drives demand there. I'll learn the yearly events, maybe has near hospitals or whatever it is, and I'll just figure it out from there.
Were there other were there any other data points that you were looking at? Like, were you using a software like AirDNA or
Mhm.
something else to just like look at what ADR's average daily rents are, or anything like that? Or you kind of just literally base it off, I love the Milwaukee Bucks, and I
Yeah.
know there's a little bit of tourism here. Like, I don't know what your thought
Yeah.
process was.
So yeah, I also did my research. So yeah, AirDNA is a software I use to find properties. So basically, we use the filters on AirDNA, find the good, what we call good data in those cities or zip codes or area, whatever that is. So basically, I was my units are near the Buck Stadium actually, so it's actually walkable. So it's maybe like a 5 minute walk. So I was on AirDNA back at the time. You could search it by zip code. So I was searching around that zip code, and I found one or two bedrooms. Other people that were operating there for maybe over a year. So those are like what you call good data, not people that are operating for like 30 days and then the revenue is like pretty crazy or skewed.
Hmm.
So basically, like say like a example, if I found a one bedroom around the Milwaukee Bucks stadium and the one bedroom is making like 40K in revenue and the rent is maybe 1,500 example, um, kind of quick math. Basically, if your revenue is if your revenue is 2x your rent, your monthly rent, then it's going to be enough margins to be profitable. So 1,500 a month. If you double that, that's 3K a month, right?
Hmm.
And for the year, that'll be 36K in revenue. So if you say that's 36K in revenue, but then the AirDNA is telling you 40K, now your margins, now you have a bigger room for margins and room. I guess like if you ever make a mistake, you still will be profitable.
Mm,
So that's how you kind of figure out like quick math on how to like find a profitable location.
okay. So you chose Milwaukee, chose these 5 units. How many cold calls did you have to go through before you landed this one?
Ooh, shoot, probably like at least over 100, 200.
Okay.
A lot of rejections, and also like I had no sales experience coming in. I was scared to talk to people, scared to call people. But I just kept trying. Every time I got a no, got more confident, figured out how to say things better, how to talk to people better. But and then over time, finally got that yes. So like I said, it took about 2 months, and my first deal started around middle of March, I believe.
Yeah. And this just goes to show that it just takes time and determination and grit. I mean, obviously, Kevin, he did these 200 calls. He said it was very challenging and very hard, but I think you just got to stick with it and just know that every single call you're getting better. And so, in this case, were you recording your calls? Like, how did you actually get better besides just the confidence?
I think it was just confidence, and I think like in the beginning when I was first calling people, I would like stutter. I'll be honest, like, I was like, even though like I'm not in person face to face with someone, I was like probably shaking on the calls. Not gonna lie, I was like a robot reading off a script. But like I said, over time, built the confidence, just more repetition every time, and it just got better until it's like natural. It's kind of like, and then like at that point, I'm just saying, I just felt like I already operated, or I'm already operating. I already had like maybe 10, 20 years under my belt. I was like, hey, I just want to expand in this city, and then that's kind of how I did it.
Nice. And so, just going back to the startup cost, you said it was about 30,000 to do all five. Was that just for the rent and down payment, and all that stuff, or like first month's rent, and then another 30,000 for the furnishing? So it's like, say, 60,000 for all 5 units.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So yeah, 30 to 35,000 was the setup cost. That was just strictly furniture and labor to set it up. And then I believe it was about, since I didn't have any rent concessions or any special deals, it was 10K in rent to start off the first month. So I guess total all in about 45,000.
Okay. And did you? Because I saw on your Instagram that you use business credit cards. At this point, did you have those credit cards, the 0% stuff, or it was this kind of just a bunch of cash you had saved up on the side from your other business?
Yeah. So yeah, majority of that was funded with 0% interest business credit cards. The only thing that was out of pocket was my 10K in rent that I had cash. But yeah, the all that furniture was on 0% cards. I kind of researched before, and I kind of learned about like how to start business with like low with almost no money down. Learn about 0% interest business credit cards. I knew there was personal cards, but I kind of went down like a rabbit hole with like YouTube and just random like credit stuff, and people are talking about business credit cards that and they don't report to your personal utilization, and like I guess back in the day it was like a lot easier to get some of that funding. So that's how I got approved and started. And also to pay the vendors, like I would find them on TaskRabbit. So I would just put on that 0% credit card on TaskRabbit, pay them, and that was a 0% for basically 12 months, 18 months.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Dude, these credit card hacks are some of the biggest like hacks that no one talks about.
Yeah.
I mean, you said yourself you probably got like 40 to 50,000 in business credit. I did the same thing for my 2 flips. I had one credit card for the first flip, 0% for a year, and the second one I got like 80,000, 0% for a year.
Damn.
And so
nice.
the nice thing about Airbnb, I mean, obviously you're cash flowing much sooner than a flip, so you can pay it off the balance a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Like my flip, I'm not going to pay it till pretty much the end of it, which can be risky, especially if it goes over the year. But I think, yeah, to your point, the credit card thing is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, basically free money in some ways.
Exactly.
You just got to be able to pay it back.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so going back, do you put these all on like an LLC, and are they all under the same LLC?
Mhm. Yeah. So when I started, yeah, it was just one LLC because I was brand new, I didn't really know what I was doing. And yeah, I applied for some credit cards. I had good to get those credit cards actually for good limits. You need also good personal credit first, which I did. I think after my first or second deal, that's when I kind of got researched more into maybe making multiple LLCs. Basically, like so, even though like the 0% they don't report to your personal utilization, they still have like their own like small business utilization per LLC. So basically, most strategic people, I mean, I don't really know the details like that. I only really learned the funding just to fund my own business. But yeah, so basically, you just create 2 LLCs, and then you could do like say one LLC one would get like a couple cards or a couple of banks at 0%, and then on the other LLC you kind of do the same thing, but maybe different cards and different banks. That way, your utilization is split instead of having all the cards on one LLC, and then if they're all maxed out, you'll be harder to get approved on that LLC. Does that kind of make sense?
Mm.
Yeah. So you kind of just split it up, and then that way, when maybe LLC one pays off the 0% or the cards that they have, then you could reapply it because because the utilization on that business would be 0 basically, and then while the LLC two will still maybe have some big balances. So that's kind of how you would maybe strategically play around like that.
Okay. I want to go back to, and we keep going back, but
Yeah.
I love the first deal. The first deal is always
Yeah.
the hardest and the most,
Yeah.
where you learn all the learning lessons, right? So how do you convince a landlord or company, like corporate housing, whatever, to allow you to do this arbitrage? Because I think, like you said, 200 people said no.
Mhm.
So what's your pitch? How do you convince people that it's okay? I mean, it seems like a lot of risk. You have these people who are essentially renting it out to these other people. Why not do it themselves, right? So like, what's the pitch to them?
Yeah, to answer your question, so most landlords or people wouldn't want to do it themselves because it does require a lot of work. Obviously, most landlords, it could be single family, multifamily. At the end of the day, all they want to do is just have good tenants that take care of the property, just pay the rent time, less headache, right? Versus corporate housing or Airbnb arbitrage, deal with turnover, guests, guest experience. Make sure things are fixed. So there's a lot more headache, and also maybe you could make more, but that's not kind of what they want, right? So you kind of, especially for multifamily, how I partner with a lot of the landlords and multifamilies, like I just come in, like I said, they usually have a lot of vacancies, and I'll say, and then I'll kind of get pitched an idea, like basically, hey, I'm willing to, lease like 5, 10, 15, 20 units at once. That way, and then, they're like, oh, wow, someone that has money, and then will want to lease that many units from me. So they don't need to find individual people because say leasing 5 to 20 units would probably take, I don't know how long to find 20 individual people, right? But if this one person just comes in that that knows how to operate, you kind of trying to basically I'm fixing their problem of basically renting the property, taking care of the property, and paying the rent on time. So that's kind of how I come in. But not every landlord sees the value in this corporate housing model. Obviously, that's why a lot of rejections, right? Some people see it as a lot of risk, or maybe it might affect the community at the property, whatever it is. But some landlords see that, oh, that like this guy can solve my problem. Like I just want someone to pay my rent and my mortgage, right? So that's kind of how the pitch goes, or like how you would convince someone.
Okay. And are all these leases for a year? Are they 2 years? Or some of them like 6 months? Like are they all like minimum a year?
Usually minimum a year. I try to do at least maybe 1.5 to 2 years for more stability. Also maybe could be lock in. Maybe you could lock in like a better rent rate. I mean, I'm not someone just predicting the market rent, but like if I'm locked in for at least 1.5 years to 2 years, I know like at least I have that time to operate. But generally, like even if it's a 1 year lease, I will get renewed. Um, but it just gives me peace of mind, like, hey, I'm locked in for 2 years. I don't need to worry about renewal next year. And I believe, for at least in my experience, most landlords kind of like it that you want to do a longer lease. So like they don't want to worry about it. So those are other benefits. Like, hey, someone who wants to stay for 3 years, that's fine with me.
Mm-hmm. Is Milwaukee? Because I'm sure just like any other thing, any other city, you got to really make sure that you find a city or state where it is Airbnb or short-term rental friendly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Milwaukee obviously was.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you, for now, like you really just make sure that all these places are very lenient with these regulations?
Yeah. So, I mean, not saying that you don't go to cities with regulations, because some regulations might actually be a good thing because less supply, more demand.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to a city where it's like kind of like an outright ban. But like there is like some small regulations, maybe like you gotta get a permit, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. But generally, those cities like they just want you to follow the rules. So like you don't want just anybody just doing Airbnb and messing up someone's house or throwing parties, whatever it is, right? So some regulations are actually really good. It's a little bit of red tape, and usually like and the ones that have even more restrictions or regulations, those are actually even a better city. As long as you can actually get the permit to operate, they're actually better because like I said, less supply and then there's more demand. You could charge more and probably way more powerful than cities that are like zero restrictions or zero regulations.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. How long did it take you to become profitable and make all your money back from this first 5 unit deal?
Yeah. So it took me since no rent concession took me I believe about 5 months. So I started in March in Milwaukee. March, April, May is kind of the shoulder season. Basically, ramp up from a slow season to the high season, and then high season was basically June, July. Basically June, July. But you still make some money in August, September, and once I hit basically July, I pretty much paid off that full deal. So yeah, about 4 months, 4 or 5 months.
And you still have that to this day?
Yeah, I still have this to this day. I honestly only been to Milwaukee like when I set up and maybe one other time for like my next deal, but yeah, haven't gone there since. I mean, I would definitely like go back to like obviously keep relationships good and stuff, but it shows like you don't have to be near your Airbnb. It's all systems, automation, and yeah, I'm from California. And Milwaukee's like 6, 7 hours away.
Damn, that's crazy. So you said this is all on Airbnb. All 5 units were advertised on Airbnb. Were some of them on Furnish Finder doing like the longer midterm rental stuff? Were some of them on other websites? Like, how were you getting these clients to stay at this place?
Yeah, so I think about my first year to year and a half, I was strictly just Airbnb, but only recently, around I think I started and maybe middle to end of 2024, I started listing on multiple platforms, and that's just like all the booking channels that you guys may have heard of, like Booking.com, Vrbo, Expedia, Marriott, Hopper, just like basically any of these like OTA channels, just to diversify myself and not just rely on one booking channel
Mm-hmm.
because never know. Not saying that I don't follow the rules or anything, but you never know. Like, what if Airbnb makes some big change to their policy, or somehow they think that you violate their policy and they ban you? And now, since you're depending on one channel, you're kind of screwed.
Mm-hmm.
But now since I'm diversified, I get like say 20% from this channel, 10% from this channel. Now, even if something happens, at least I still have some revenue come in, and I can have enough maybe some buffer time to fix whatever issue it may be.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, what happens if Airbnb just totally like evaporates tomorrow? Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. So another thing, like on top of that, I am actually trying to focus more on direct booking, own personal branding on my property. So that way, instead of all these booking channels taking like 3% commission, 50% commission, 20%, whatever that may be, I'm trying to focus more on direct booking because also direct booking will be less fees anyways. But you just need that reputation, credibility. It's just like marketing or even just retargeting the guests that have stayed over the past 2 years to come back for and book through my website directly.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, dude. One thing I really want to talk about is all the good stuff sounds great, but I really want to hear about some learning lessons, mistakes that you learned from this very first one. Like, what were some of the biggest takeaways for someone who's looking to do this for the first time, or mistakes that you see most new people make with arbitrage?
Yeah. I don't think I had too many issues with my first deals, but some things that I definitely would know, like, um, and what I've slowly improved over the years when I kept doing more units was one, don't be too cheap on like your furniture or how you furnish the property. Because eventually those would break and you have to buy it again, and that just has more cost. Also, it gives like a poor guest experience, I would say. So I would say in my first units, I would get like all these cheap like kitchen utensils like for cooking or very little plates, very little forks, all that stuff. And then people will come like, oh, it's not enough. And then but nowadays, like you know, everything's all stocked up. They have multiple things that they could use. So like it's kind of like they won't complain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also in the beginning, I mean, I did like create SOPs obviously, but like
And
I
what's
would
SOPs? Sorry for that. Who
yeah
people who don't know.
yeah, SOPs are standard operating procedures. Basically, like when you're training a team, training people, you kind of want to create systems, right? So like if a if if a guest is unhappy or something, example, if a guest is unhappy, offer them free late checkout or do this X percentage discount. So that way I don't need to be involved in every situation. So I wish back then when I first start creating those SOPs earlier. But I know like with a few units, like it's not too much work. So I was also like messing around. But then when I kept scaling, getting bigger, I was like, oh shoot, I'm kind of falling behind. I need to create these SOPs for my team. Like systems are breaking. So always record everything, always document everything. I mean, as long as there's a baseline, you can always refine it in the future. But now that your team knows how to do it, they can also help you refine. So it's not just not you like being the whole show or like doing everything yourself.
Okay, so just to summarize, buy nicer furniture
Hmm.
and make sure that you start doing the standard operating procedures earlier so that you're able to train other people and do it more standardized and not have to do everything yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I think those are the things I would make sure to do if I were to restart my first units.
Okay. Where's your favorite place to buy furniture? Is it just Amazon?
Yeah, so I usually do Amazon, Wayfair. Those two are probably the main places I get my furniture from.
Okay. And then you said you hire people from TaskRabbit. So I just imagine you ordered a bunch of shit. It goes to this place, and then you have all these people from TaskRabbit just build everything.
Yeah, pretty much. So at least for my first deal, I was able to ship all the furniture to the apartment. Luckily that they accepted it and they helped me put that all those boxes of furniture into my unit. But nowadays, since I do a lot of units and obviously a lot of boxes, right?
Hmm.
I will rent storage units, like mainly extra space. Generally, they allow you to ship things there as long as you sign like a hold harmless agreement. Basically, says that since we are accepting your packages, if anything goes missing, we won't be liable, something
Hmm.
like that. So yeah, ship everything to storage units. Depending on how many units you're doing, you rent a couple storage units, and then once either I fly to the city or maybe you have a team there, you give them access to the storage unit, put everything in U-Haul, drive it to the property that you're setting up, and you kind of just set up. I mean, nowadays I have like a team in the one of the cities I'm in, but yeah, generally like I'll just probably reach out to a lot of people on TaskRabbit. You could do Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Thumbtack, just any of those type of people that you could find like maybe for a day or a couple of days.
Nice. All good experiences so far.
Yeah, so far, everyone has been good experience. I usually ask them for their their sample work, and if maybe like yeah, just usually how I do it. And I like to over order people the first day, and then kind of weed out like who's good, who's not. Then the next few days, I was like, hey, I'll give you like more of the job. But the first day, I just order, I get a lot of people, test out who's good, and if they're lazy or they leave early, whatever, then I was like, that's fine because I still have enough people to work for today.
Yeah, but how do you even make sure they're lazy or not? Like if you're not even there, is it just
Um,
based on
yeah.
performance? Like they built this amount of furniture in this amount of time. Like how do you actually measure that?
Yeah. So when I first started, I was there, so I was like kind of measure like so like you do this unit, this person does this unit, and like see who's faster or the progress in like X amount of hours or whatever. Also, I know a lot of people like to be paid by hour, but that's why I also like to I rather pay by project. That way, they're like more
Motivated.
incentive to like kind of finish it quicker. Also, but with by doing it the right way. But nowadays, like I said, for one of my cities that I operate in, it's just like a team that I have, and like I said, they're paid by project, so they already know what to do. And since they've built a lot of units for me, it's like clockwork for them. It's like very easy nowadays.
Hmm. That's amazing. I want to get into now scaling up because you said you had 5 units. Now you have 184 units in 2 years. That's obviously a freaking big ass jump.
Yeah.
Are like, what was the progression to get to 184 units? Was it all in Milwaukee? Walk me through the next few deals.
Yeah. So first deal March was 5 units. Then I think I wait and operate for like maybe a month and a half because you kind of had to wait like maybe about a month to see at least a 1 full month, give or take, to see like does this business work, whatever. And then even though I wasn't super profitable yet in the first one because it's still a shorter season, I just saw the potential honestly. And then when May hit, I was like, wow, even though I didn't really break even on this first deal yet, I want another one. Cause I really just envisioned or just saw like how good this model could work. And I was like, if I'm making this much during this shoulder season, I can't imagine like during the peak or the highest season.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started reaching out again. And my next deal was I think it was Milwaukee. Same thing, Milwaukee. It was actually so the first deal was a class A, more like a modern apartment. Maybe it has like a gym, just more modern, has all these amenities, right? But the second deal was kind of like a class C building, very old. They renovated the rooms a little bit inside, but I was like, oh, the location's good, the rent's cheap. I think the numbers like, and then also I used AirDNA to do my market research. I was like, okay, looks like this will work. It was 10 unit. It took a while to get into the deal because 10 units and it's a big jump, and also had to like prove like maybe my did all that stuff. But I finally did get that approved. Those units did well. I still actually have them today. And then 10 units there. And then October, I think was my next few deals. So I got, and that's when I changed to a different market, Arizona. And I got a 15 unit deal there in October, and then wait a couple months and then got like another like 20, 25 units around December.
Damn.
Yeah. And I was basically just using 0% interest credit cards at the time. However, the thing about 0% interest credit cards is that usually you could stack it's called stack for per social security number. So also I did a lot of 0% cards under my name, but I was like, because I learned the how to get the business funding. So I was like, how can I get more 0% interest credit card? And then when I learned that it's tied by social security, then I started asking like family, friends, like, hey, would it be okay? Like all the people I'm more closer to, like, hey, would you be okay if I use your social security for 0% and maybe I'll give you like a X amount return or whatever that may be, like to make it worth your while, like, and make sure like I'm not, screwing them over by screwing the credit or never paying back the credit card, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from that point, once I learned that, then I stacked even more credit cards with like friends and family, and then that's how I got such substantial growth, I would say, because that's a lot of money to input for like all these build outs.
Yeah.
So 25 December. Then, but 25 unit deal was multiple buildings, and then I got a 30 unit deal in February, end of January, early February. Um, that that building was pretty much was student housing. Then they were trying to switch it to conventional rental, so they were pretty much like 10-20% occupied. So it was very ghost town. I came in, basically they had 30 units. I was like, and then I believe that deal was probably the biggest deal in my life, or one of my biggest deal. Yeah, 30 unit deal. And they gave me about, I think, average like 9 weeks of rent concession. So some units were 12 weeks, some were about like 8 weeks. I think average is like, actually no, average is not like 9 to 10 weeks rent concession.
And
give or take.
for people who don't know, what's rent concession?
Rent concession is basically free rent. So like if it says 8 weeks rent concession, that means that's 2 months free. So think about like if Arbitrage is already a high cash flow in business, plus you get 8 weeks free on average or 10 weeks, whatever that is, you're essentially making back your money like very fast. Especially that was my high season too in Arizona. So I think that 30 unit deal I broke even like 2 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because like all the units were on free rent. I also did buy furniture from this big operator that went out of business, so most of it was a little bit cheap. But I still bought my own furniture to make it up to my standard.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of how I went from there, and just kind of just kept getting more units over the 2024.
Okay.
2024, yeah.
Nice, dude. So many questions I have.
Yeah.
You're dropping so much game, and I know that this is going to bring so much value to everyone.
Yeah.
But how did you, what made you do that switch from Milwaukee to Arizona? First question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Milwaukee, during the winters, it was, snowing. not a lot of people travel there. So I wanted to find another opposite market to that makes money during the wintertime to get a more balanced portfolio.
Mm,
That's funny kind of say that because now like 90% of my portfolio or 99% is pretty much Arizona. But yeah, at the time that's what I was thinking. Just wanted to balance portfolio so that way I can make cash flow steady throughout the year instead of like, maybe a couple months I make a lot and then a slow season pretty much maybe lose a little bit of money or break even.
mhm.
That's how I chose Arizona.
Okay. And then second question, like rent concessions. So now knowing
Mhm.
what you know, would you target more of these like apartments that have much lower vacancy so that you're able to hopefully negotiate these rent concessions in like lower maybe
Mhm.
lower C class neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Or would you still target like the A1s?
So I think when you're starting anything, I mean, of course, I think a lot of people will prefer A-class buildings, right? Because more modern, has amenities. Maybe that's what drives people to book your property. Because versus like a C-class building that is just really just a place to sleep.
Mm,
Um, but I think as long as the numbers work, it's fine, especially as your first deal or first few deals. I mean, me personally, I definitely would at least nowadays, I definitely would rather go for the more A class building with amenities, more modern finishes because usually they're less issues. And yeah, I would usually try to target those buildings that usually have more vacancies because you have more, I guess, leverage,
mhm.
right? You per se. And but also like nowadays, just by looking on, you go on Zillow, pretty much any city, most of these newer buildings offer a lot of rent concessions. So because there's a lot of vacancies, I would say everywhere. There's a lot of competition. Like this building wants to get leased up, but this new building is like probably coming up next year. So like they know like once the new building comes, a lot of the newer buildings actually offer rent concessions to attract people in the door first. So if there is new construction, um, that would be like a good opportunity. Hopefully, if they see the value in you like leasing these units for corporate housing or Airbnb.
Mhm. From a design standpoint, do you make them all look the same? Are there differences? Like, I'm just trying to think because for me, doing this one flip, trying to get all the design stuff
Yeah.
is definitely challenging. So I can't even imagine trying to furnish and design 180 plus things, right?
Yeah.
So do you have a designer? Are you doing them all kind of like similar?
Yeah. So I've designed them all myself, but and I don't design them all different. So each deal, so each building deal or whatever each deal I do at a time, I kind of also just design them all the same to make it easier because it's gonna be too much work and extra like more headache to do you're doing say a 15 unit deal and you want to design 15 units all differently. Like you had to figure out like where's that one box that goes here,
For sure.
where this furniture goes here. So if I do a 15 unit deal, I do all the designs the same, and maybe the next deal I might tweak a little bit, maybe change up the color scheme or just maybe change something. Honestly, sometimes I just repeat if I really like a build, I just kind of repeat it because I kind of know like it kind of works for apartments because generally apartments like I would say like I mean, also, like, if I own the property, I think I'll design it much different, more unique. But since I'm doing arbitrage and these apartments are like smaller, I'd rather just do it pretty much similar. And I kind of like know what people want.
Hmm.
Just like a clean space, has amenities, maybe blackout curtains, a desk, a computer, chair, and just like enough chairs, enough utensils, stuff like that, coffee, tea, basically anything. So basically, like if I were to go, like, or you were to go travel somewhere and you were staying there for a month, like it really have everything you need. I mean, obviously you might have obviously you buy your own groceries, but everything that you'll find in the kitchen, everything you need to sleep or just do your work is already there. So that's kind of how I design my units.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't design them too differently.
Nice. I mean, if it's not broken, why try and fix it?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing, dude. That's freaking awesome. So, just LLC wise, so do you have an LLC for each property separate, or do you have like one just like holding LLC for a state? Like, I'm just trying to see how like everything's kind of set up.
Yeah, so actually that's one thing I probably need to start fixing or changing soon. I mean, at the moment, I just have one LLC that just is under basically the one that leases all the properties.
Mm,
But I am probably most likely gonna. I think this year I'm trying to restructure everything to have more layers, more protection for me and the business, and hopefully if anything happens like nothing will happen to me. you know.
yeah, for sure. What does your day to day look like now versus when you first started?
Mhm. Yeah, so in the beginning, I was definitely like, more hands-on because I was trying to learn the operation, and then with me learning, I had to teach like my team members or VAs or virtual assistants. So basically, I was learning everything, and each time when we do something new, like maybe there's new software added. I mean, nowadays I haven't really added anything, but like back then, like, over time I was adding new software. Maybe we start hosting on new booking channels. All that I feel like I'm the first one to also learn it first because that's how my team learns best. And then I'll create the SOPs. I'll create everything on the doc and then do record a video. So more hands on in the beginning, but nowadays, I'll be honest, I don't even look on the app. I don't look at like Airbnb. I don't look at my PMS software, which is the software I use to that controls all the properties.
Mhm.
I don't know who checks in, who checks out. I don't know like maintenance requests. Like I really don't know anything.
That's
Like
crazy.
it's literally all hands on. Like also like if a project manager asks like they want to schedule a call with me and they're like, oh, maybe it's like, hey, we want to talk about unit, I don't know, 100, whatever it is, right? And I'm like, okay. And then I'll probably ask myself, like, hey, what's happening in this unit? And then they said this happened. Can you, someone like put me up to speed? Then on the meeting, I'll kind of like not pretend, but I will kind of like be more up to, I'll know like, oh, okay, this happened and start talking about it. But like most of the time, the landlords call me like, hey, there's a hot water issue at this unit. Do you know, but we just checked it. Can you double check the gas? I'm like, oh, let me ask my team. Like, I really don't know what's going on.
Damn, dude, that's amazing. That's the dream. You
Yeah.
built an incredible machine that where you're very much like out of the business now.
Yeah, pretty much like day-to-day operation, I'm pretty much out of biz. I mean, all I still work and do like like other things. Like I always try to brainstorm like how can I improve the SOPs, the system, or maybe I have maybe occasional meetings with the software companies or project managers, building relationship. But yeah, day-to-day operation, I really don't know anything.
Like weekly or daily, how many hours do you think you spend like in the business or on the business?
Dude, weekly, I would say less than 10, 10 less. I'll just say 10, but because I like look at things here and there, but like it's not like I'm making sure this guest is okay. I'm making sure the refund's okay, or hey, do I need to stop this maintenance request? Do I need to pay the cleaners or whatever? But yeah, most of that is like I probably just say less than 10 hours on the actual business.
That's freaking awesome. I want to talk about scaling up in the business itself. What were the first hires that you made besides the people that actually set up everything? And how many employees do you currently have?
Yeah.
Whether that VAs or anything.
hmm Yeah, so basically my whole operation, my team's all virtual assistants or VAs, if you guys don't know. Basically I outsource them from the Philippines personally, but I know there's other countries you can't outsource them. I mainly hire or people that already have experience. Either they worked at Airbnb themselves, like the call center, so they kind of know the Airbnb policies in and out. But obviously, like things always change over time. But at least they have some type of customer service, some type of critical thinking. Work. They know how to work under pressure, and they know how to like. They're used to helping guests out all the time. So my first two hires were just like guest communication, helping out the guests, and then obviously slowly when you only have 5 units, like you don't really have much to do.
Mhm.
And most of it, like I said, we have automated messaging, so from the PMS software. So like I said, they're just mainly monitoring the inbox in case things happen or whatever, and they talk to cleaners. I guess besides hiring cleaners for your unit, yeah, the virtual assistants were the first one. Um, and I believe I had two VAs up until believe around 30 units, give or take. Then I hired two more part time, just because then now there's like more units, more issues, more things going on. So I just wanted, I didn't want to overwork my VAs, and I wanted to have a balance. And then kept hiring more. Honestly, when I got more units, kept hiring more. And I guess my structure is that in the beginning was like two guest communication. The other two were like more like admin support and guest communication. But over time, when you kept adding more units, all they had to restructure, make sure there's a more organized system, right? So my I guess organization chart at the moment, also me at the top. I do have like a one team manager and about two to I think basically two main other managers for what I call AM shift and PM shift. So normally I have one shift like 6 a.m. Pacific time to 5 p.m. Pacific time, and the next shift is like which is PM shift is usually 3 p.m. Pacific to about 12 to 1 a.m. Pacific. So basically almost 24/7 coverage. I think it's only like 5 hours no coverage, but that's like usually the time people should be asleep. But occasionally there will be people that are up late.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I know some people like to have the structure by cities or buildings, but I think this is how it worked well for me. So yeah, one team manager that kind of oversees everyone, one manager for each AM and PM shift, and about I believe maybe about five now. About five people on AM shift and five people on PM shift. Not every day, but majority of the days. So, and then my total count on my team is about 20 people now.
Nice. That's awesome. And they're all virtual assistants, you said, from the Philippines.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much everyone's virtual assistants, except like obviously the people on in the cities, like cleaners, handyman, stuff like that. Like those are people like besides cleaners, you will probably try to find handymans that kind of that are free, like maybe after work, or maybe their main job is being like a handyman like throughout the day. So in case of you need maintenance on a certain unit, you just send them, hey, we need you to I don't know fix this hole in the wall, and then they'll my VAs will message them, and then the maintenance person will go there, fix it, and then they'll send once they're done, take proof, send the invoice to the team, and then the team will pay it.
Hmm. I really like your business structure,
Mhm.
especially since you said you have pretty much 24-hour coverage between the AM team and the PM team.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, just even myself, I hate when I was doing an Airbnb with my mom.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's very challenging to be, up at like the middle of the night, right? And
Exactly,
so to have
yeah.
that coverage is super nice and
Yeah.
very beneficial for the guests.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. What's some of the biggest learning lessons from scaling up? Because I'm sure there's many different things you've learned. What have been some of the biggest things while growing to this capacity?
I think I mean, I feel like at times maybe scaling too fast, like is a good and bad thing because, like I said, at the time when I was scaling, like I felt like I had some systems, but it wasn't all there. So when I scaled so fast, like my systems were kind of breaking. A lot of errors. Hiring people. Basically, should hire people before you maybe add a big amount of units, because now they're if you kind of pre-train them and they're kind of up to speed. When you add like say another 20, 30 units, it should be a smooth transition. But back when I was doing it, I had like say 30 units, and they're like, oh shoot, we need more hands, and then kind of just hire people and just throw them like right in the fire, and then like it's like kind of like the systems weren't there, they didn't really know anything. I mean, obviously they have some experience and they were doing the work, but it wasn't as smooth as it should have been.
Mm.
So I would say that's one thing, like scaling too fast, not having the systems in place, and then playing catch up. Playing catch up is always not a good thing. You always want to be prepared.
Hmm. Did you ever have to fire anyone?
Oh yeah, a lot of turnovers here, or some turnovers here and there. So how I like to do it, like, I will hire a new VA, and then I would generally give them about 1 month to prove that they are kind of like the people that we want for our team culture, and there's like no red flags, like they're not late, they're not making excuses, they're willing to learn, hardworking, all those type of things. Um, and if they don't meet those criterias, I would generally we'll let them go after 1 month. So then, because if they're not working out in the beginning, they're mostly not going to work out, 5, 6, or whatever, couple months in the future. And that's also learned. Was something I learned too. I would kind of give people like kind of benefit of that. Like, some people like, hey, you need to be more compassionate, have more empathy. Like, we're learning, we're trying, which is like, trust me, I get it. But at times, like, if you're, maybe say 5, 6 months in, you're still making the same mistakes from month one.
Hmm.
And even though, like I said, we have all these SOPs, all these trainings, the managers are always checking the work to train them, like even like remind, hey, this is how you do it, do this, do that. But if they're making the same mistakes, like I said, it's better to let them go earlier rather than later, because it'll cause more like damages to your business.
Hmm. Are the VAs, are you hiring them from just like an agency where you're trying to hire one specific person who specializes in this thing?
Mhm.
Or are you just going like on onlinejobs.ph or whatever and then training them, hoping that they figure it out?
Yeah, I do onlinejobs.ph. So I make a job listing of kind of what I'm looking for, like maybe like X amount of years of experience, must do this, and the general job description of what you do if you were to join my team. I mean, I used to do all these interviews and hiring myself. So like, and at a time, like there was a lot of people like trying to get interviewed, and I was like, I did 1 week. I probably interviewed like 30 people. But I do like a more of a speed interview, like because there's like so many people. I like probably do like 20 minutes a person, and I'll just make some notes like, okay, do I like them? Do I not? And then I'll hire like maybe out of the 30, I'll probably hire like one or two. So I'm like, man, this is taking too much time. So I kind of like offload it to my manager now, and then I just tell them to do like do kind of what I do, a quick interview, or like just by looking off the resume, whatever, who looks good initially. Then you do a quick interview, and then we'll shortlist it, and then they'll once they come to like the top 1 to 3, then I'll do my interview with them, see if I like them, and then they will hire them.
Hmm. Got it. Okay. So now it sounds amazing. You're working 10 hours a week, maybe on the business. Were there any moments where you're feeling extremely overwhelmed, burnt out, or anything like that?
Mm, I think yeah, I would say yeah, because like since I was pretty much growth and expansion mode for 2 years, or I would say mainly 2024. I mean, I feel like at times I would say, oh, yeah, I was a little bit burned out because like I was like because it takes time to do these deals, right? So maybe like 1 to 2 month nurture, like talking to the property management or landlord, like try to nurture the deal, make it happen. And then so say today's like August, right? And then
Hmm.
yeah, say I'm talking to a landlord, and that might take maybe like 1 week at the shortest, maybe up to 2 3 weeks to get the deal done. Because maybe I'm negotiating what I want, and they had the they're the middleman trying to relate to the owners like, hey, Kevin wants like I don't know 10 weeks free, but you're only offering 4 weeks. What do you want to do? Stuff like that. So we just go back and forth a lot. But so yeah, we'll take about maybe 1 month to get the deal done, or maybe less. Then after you get the deal done, then I'm the one planning the layout, the design, how to order all the furniture. Going through multiple sites like Amazon, Wayfair, Best Buy, Costco, Sam's Club. So that takes a lot of time. And then storage unit, and once you ship those stuff, then you're planning with the handyman or whoever to, hey, this is what you need to do, and then maybe they're missing things and they'll call you. So basically, like I guess from start to finish of a whole project probably take like 1 to 2 months, right? Of actually like maybe not every day, but it's like do this week is this, and then kind of keep going. And then and then after you're done setting up, then you have to set up the listings. I mean, all of my team does most of it now, but I still kind of check most of it here and there or
Hmm.
quality check it.
Hmm.
So yeah, the whole process takes yeah, like I said, 1 to 2 months, and then usually after that, um, in 2024 was a lot of growth mode. Then I had like another deal, so it's kind of repeat, like basically like months of just work. So at that thing, and then I think when I finally stopped getting you, I was like, oh, shoot, let me just relax, and that's why I did travel a lot this year in 2025. Like let me just take a little break. Let me just like, just because I haven't like really like rewarded myself up until I guess now.
Well, I'm happy that you finally got on vacation, got a chance to relax because, yeah, that sounds crazy. All the burnout. In hindsight, do you think you would have scaled just as fast if you were to start all over again, or maybe do definitely fewer deals?
Yeah, start over if I still have good credit and everything
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Yeah, I think if I were to start over again with, and I still have credit, I might yeah, like I said, with what I know now, I'll probably create the systems first. So maybe it won't be burnt out as much, or like maybe like try and catch up. I might even like do like look into houses. I think houses are still a good model too. It's just kind of hard because from what I know for apartments, especially if someone's giving me like 8 weeks free, like I don't know how you could turn that down, especially doing multiple units. Your return is a lot faster.
Hmm.
But apartment rents are generally, especially the A class, are generally like a little bit more expensive too. So the numbers have to work versus houses, like, a little bit cheaper at times, but the margins could be a lot better because you're housing a bigger family. You sleep more people, and then you also could charge more as well.
Hmm. Do you think that this Airbnb arbitrage is a stepping stone into building something great, or do you think this can definitely do like the long term business and just keep this for a long time? Like, do you want to start buying the houses? I mean, now you have a cash machine, so
Mhm.
I guess what's your goal for the next 5 years?
Yeah. So me personally, I would say arbitrage is a good way for cash flow and a good stepping stone.
Hmm.
I think owning equity and building that stuff is like always my long term plans. I actually did recently close on a property with a couple of friends a few months ago. We're trying to add a lot of amenities and turned out to like a crazy STR. So yeah, it's a build equity and also cash flow. So yeah, I personally think arbitrage is a good way to get cash flow, and then use those cash flow or profits to build more long term wealth through either buying properties or any type of real estate, like hotels or whatever that may be.
Hmm. So if someone was trying to get to 10K in cash flow, how many properties at this point for the corporate housing do you need?
So for apartment model, to get 10K, you only probably need like 10 bedrooms, give or take, or 10 bed. Yeah, you generally 10 bedrooms, but let's just say 10 bedrooms, and the 1 bedrooms maybe take about, I would say, 6K to furnish,
Okay.
and 2 bedrooms maybe like 8K to furnish. give or take. So you see, so in our at least the metric I learned and how I do it for one bedrooms, we hopefully aim for about 1K per month or 12K per year cash flow. So you're spending, say, for one bedroom 6K, but you make 12K. That's like a big I guess cash flow, or like you make your ROI and your cash is pretty big
Mm-hmm.
compared to most other business models out there.
Okay. So 5 one bedrooms probably.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. To make 10K cash flow, you need 10 one bedrooms to make 10K a month. Yeah.
And you pretty much did that in the first couple deals. Definitely
Yeah, pretty
possible.
much. I mean, I'm sure like that's how we analyze, but I'm sure like depending on operation efficiency, that could be all the lower, but that's kind of like the metric that we aim for, give or take.
Nice, dude. Amazing, dude. What's the craziest landlord story or guest experience that you've had so far? Because I imagine with all these people who are coming in and out, there's got to be a crazy horror story.
Mm, actually, not. I can't remember too many. Actually, my landlords have been actually like, really good, or like we haven't had too many issues. Let me think. I guess for guests, actually, I haven't too because I guess since I'm apartments, you can't really throw parties or do anything like that. So I don't have. Luckily, I haven't like knock on wood. Luckily, that never happened. Um, but I mean, recently, I'm not. It's not really a guess, but like someone's been like some homeless has been like breaking into our Airbnbs. Kind of sucks, but like I guess like either my guests have been like on the lock boxes. They've been like when they check out, they leave the code there, so when the homeless goes around, they can just pull it down and get the key.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure of the craziest, but yeah, lately in one of my properties, a homeless been like just at nighttime going to my property, sleeping, and leaving the early morning. And for I think a few weeks, me and my team or my clean team, I actually only found about this like about last week, but it's been happening for a while. My cleaners like, they couldn't figure out why it was dirty because then they were cleaning the unit and no guest was supposed to stay. And then they came in like, oh, it's so dirty, like smells kind of weird. Someone's using all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then he stayed in like it's crazy. Stayed like maybe four or five of my units in the same building.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you haven't had any crazy horror
Yeah.
stories. I mean, I would have guessed that you would have had something crazy. So for a homeless person breaking in, that doesn't seem too bad.
Yeah, luckily.
Nice, dude. So how long do you think it would take for someone to leave their 9 to 5 realistically and quit their job with arbitrage? I know it depends on how much you make and all that stuff, but
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, like you said, I think it depends on their goals. I guess to reverse engineer, you want to make extra 5K a month. That's like 5 one-bedroom units, or maybe one or two houses, which is I would say fairly doable. You want to make 10K a month, just I would say double it, so 10 one-bedrooms, or maybe 3 to 4 houses. I think it kind of like I think it just depends on your lifestyle. Like, do you want to make 10K, 20K, 50K, whatever that may be, that you could reverse engineer, but. Um, you could easily stack up like for 0% credit card funding. Like I think you said earlier, you got one card was like what 80K, right?
Mhm.
Like that 180K credit card. If you're just doing one bedroom apartments, say at 6K per unit, that's roughly like thir-
11, 10,
11.
11.
Yeah, that's 11. Let's say 13. I think 13, about 13 units, right? And then and they all do cash flow 1K a month. So that's already 13K a month. Also, your first year is paying back some of the furniture costs, but like the second year, you get the full profit. So I think it's very lucrative business.
Yeah, I love it, dude. At what point did you realize, holy shit, I'm free? So it
Uh,
seems like you have financial freedom, time freedom, everything at this point. So when was that realization?
I think I mean all that I kind of knew like with how my portfolio is scaling, all that I knew like I was getting big and going somewhere. But I think like near the end of 2024 or even like a few months ago when I was my biggest month, I was like shit, this is like hella cash flow. I was like all that like I said, because most of the legit like almost all the profits that I made over first 2 years, I really just reinvested everything. And also pay myself a little bit for living expenses, but honestly, I still have some money from before to like survive and live, but majority of it I reinvested and kept reinvesting into the business, getting more 0%, learning how to get more funding, different types of funding. And yeah, I pretty much borrowed a lot of money from the bank to make it happen. But yeah, I think when I cash flowed in March, I was like, shit.
That's
That's
when you
it.
hit 1 million.
Yeah, that's when I hit the biggest revenue. I was like, shit, damn, this is a lot of cash flow. Yeah.
Well, I love that you said you just reinvested everything back in the business, because I think that's something that a lot of people can struggle with is how do you balance that fine line of like, I've been busting my ass, I need to splurge a little bit versus just reinvesting it back all in the business.
hmm Yeah, I think one depends on lifestyle, what you want, and I think I'm just like someone that like knows like delayed gratification in the long term game. You can't grow if you're gonna take out all the profits right away, and yeah, I think like if you want to keep growing and expand, and you see like a more of a long term play, you will invest most of it. Like also, you don't have to reinvest like all 100%, 99% of it. Also, you need some to live or whatever your lifestyle is, right?
Mm,
But I think just kind of figure out how much you need, how much you can reinvest, because the reinvestment will always long term be more worth it. I would say.
hmm At this point, you have so much time freedom and financial freedom. What's your why? Like, what motivates you to keep showing up every day and just like have this grind mode and want to keep growing?
I think it's just like for like better life for my future family. I also want to take care of my parents more. Just give back to them because we're I was for immigrant parents, so they busted their ass for me, worked their ass off for me, and now that I feel like I'm at a place that maybe I'm able. I mean, also like I do take them out and stuff, but I think I'm more of a better place where I can give that to them because they're my dad's already retired. I think my mom's about to retire soon. So now that like they'll have more time and like, hey, like, what can I give back to them to like show them more of the world that maybe they never had a chance to. And actually, one of the things to give back was I think in October, I actually did book them a business trip round trip to Asia. Um, and through the points I accumulated from the credit cards, I basically point hacked for them. So yeah, this first time, and I'm pretty sure they're excited. I mean, they don't really show it, but first time flying business, like even for me, like I flew business my first time, like but off points. So yeah, I think just for future, just like bigger goals for myself, and honestly, I think like I don't think I can just chill or relax at home. I feel that's too boring. I just want to find like a bigger purpose of like what can I do, what do I want to do in my life, and like that's just how I show up every day.
I resonate with so much of that. I mean, just to your point, I really want to give back to my family also. I mean, they've done so much for me, and I can't wait to just retire them both, give my family, my wife, everyone credit cards. I want to take all the friends and family on private jets. Like that's my
Yeah,
why. Like,
exactly.
share all these things with everyone who I love and hold dearly to my heart.
Yeah,
And just like you also said, I'm always happiest when I'm growing and doing hard things.
yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
just the best thing to do in life.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, this has been absolutely incredible. I know you've dropped so much knowledge for everyone. Literally everyone, you can go arbitrage your way to freedom with everything that Kevin said. He gave us a free masterclass. So Kevin, I appreciate you big time.
Of course. Thank you. Appreciate you for having me.
Of course, dude. If people want to get in touch with you or learn more about you, how can they do so?
Yeah, so I'm mainly on Instagram. You can probably find me at my name, Kevin Leong _BNB. I'm trying to do more social media, more content. And I do have a YouTube channel, but I mean, there's nothing on there yet, but I am trying to start more social media. So hopefully people can find me more.
Nice. All right, guys. You heard it here. Airbnb arbitrage. As always, guys, thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys. Keep going. Keep taking action. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.